Hi everyone, we're back to do the services page for our lawn care website. In the previous video, we had put together the index or homepage. And for the next 4 pages, what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of our index page because in one way or another, each page is going to be based off of the layout of that index page. And if we can get the navigation set, basically, we can start to put all of that together. So what I want you to do is I want you to make sure in your files that you navigate over to that folder that has your lawn care site. And once you have that selected, you can double click on index.html and open up your home page. Now, before we get started, I do want to point out that I had created another video last week regarding the footer, changing the CSS of the footer with the social media icons. So before you get started today, you want to make sure that you have changed those social media icons by following that previous video. So if you have not done that yet, stop this video, go back to the other video, because your social media icons should resemble mine. They should be floating in the middle of your footer for 2 of your media queries, for the global and for the min width 768. For the 1024, they should be off to the right-hand side, and that has been taken care of in the other video that was posted. So make sure that you have taken care of that. All right, so what we need to do is we need to make a page for services, gallery, crew, and contact us. And we need to add those pages to our navigation so that way we can navigate through our site. And that navigation is going to then need to be kind of updated in those pages. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this, but this is probably going to be the easiest way. Do a file save as from your index page. Again, make sure you're in your site. You'll notice I have this formmail.php. Don't pay attention to that right now. That goes along with a different video. I just have it downloaded and ready to go in my folder, so your folder might look a little bit different. It probably at this point just has images, index, and styles, so that is fine. Just make sure that you are saving directly into that folder. This next part is extremely important as well. When you are saving web pages, you can't use any special characters and you can't use capitalized letters. So we need to name the service page lowercase s for service.html. And you'll notice it'll pop it up in another page. That's fine. Then if you want, you can leave it open or close it out. Do a file save as, do the next one. We're going to call this one gallery, not the gallery, just gallery.html, and hit save. Then we're going to do a file save as, name this one crew.html. And the last one is going to be file save as contact. So you should now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the home page is 5. So we have index, service, crew, gallery, and contact is open. Okay. And the contact page. So you can close out those ones that you have just created. Did I not save my contact page? That should be there. Let me double check. Oh, there it is. All right. Took a second for it to pop up. All right. So I've closed out those other pages for a reason. And the reason is that I need to fix my navigation in my index page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then save over those pages again, and the navigation should be corrected in the page. So that's going to save me the step of having to kind of copy and paste code throughout all of the pages by doing it this way. So I'm going to click on, in the live view, the word services, and I'm going to click, 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 click until I get that orange box. See the orange bounding box? And I want to select the whole word. So I'm going to do Command A. And under the link for hyperlink, you'll notice there's a dummy link there. Anytime you see a hashtag, that's actually a dummy link. So I want you to delete that, hit the folder icon to browse for a file, and you're going to browse for that services page and click open. And you can click off. Next, you're going to do the same thing for all the links. So I'm going to click in the gallery until I get that orange box, take out the hashtag, and we're going to browse for the gallery and click open. Do the same thing for crew. So I'm just following the same steps each time. And then do the same exact thing for the contact us. So now my navigation works, but it only works on my index.html page. So I'm going to do a file, save all. And this is where it gets a little bit weird again. I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to do a save as service.html. And I'm going to replace it. It's going to open it up. Then I'm going to go back to index. And I'm going to do a file, save as, contact, click save, replace it. So I'm just going to go in order. Go back to index, file, save as, crew, and replace it. Go back to index, file, save as, and gallery should be my last one. And replace it. So now when I double check all of my new pages, you can see down in the properties that the link, the navigation works for all of my pages, and I didn't have to go in and copy, the whole header and paste the code from page to page. So that's just an easy way to get that navigation onto all of those pages. I'm going to close out gallery, crew, and contact. I'm going to leave service page up because that is the page that we are dealing with today. So at this point, you should have completed at least a mock-up of 2 pages. If you did not complete a mock-up of the services page as one of the 2 pages you chose to mock up in week 2, that's okay. We're going to follow the layout based on the wireframe. So you'll notice if you go back to that original folder that you downloaded, you have that lawn care wireframes and PDFs. You're going to want to open that folder up and open up the lawn care wireframe services, because that's a wireframe for the services page. And then you're also going to want to open up the Word file that came with the downloads in Microsoft Word, because that is going to have your copy for your services page. And the copy in the doc file, I believe, is a little bit different than the copy in the mock-up. So that's why we want to make sure that we have this open. So let's look at the layout of services compared to the layout of our homepage. And we can go into live view for that. So the navigation at the top and the footer at the bottom are the same. We also have, this 1 column box right here with a headline. There is not a button, and I can see that it says services photo. So I'm going to need to switch out the photo for that services photo. I'm going to need to switch out some of the text for the text that goes on this page. Then there is 2 boxes right here. One is lawn care services and one is landscaping services. And I can see one is the lighter colored box and one is the darker colored box. So we're going to switch out the copy in each of these boxes to match that copy. And then down at the bottom, there are two lawn care photos and two landscape photos. So I'm going to swap out these 4 photos for the new 4 photos. So the whole layout is really based right off of my layout in my index page. So I don't really need to change too much in my HTML, which is a good thing, in my DOM panel. I'm going to need to, definitely change out the, the text, which is fine. I can do that right in the live view if I want to. And I'm going to need to change out these boxes. That's going to be a little bit more complicated. And I'm going to have to change out these images. The images are actually going to be the easiest of the bunch. So what I want to do is I want to do a real-time preview in Google Chrome real quick. And the reason why is I want to make sure I know which photos are falling under this box and which photos are falling under this box. Because if you see, I'd have to close all of this up to get it into the 1024 layout, so it looks a little bit different. So I need to make sure that I'm swapping these 2 out for the lawn care photos and then these 2 out for the landscape photos. So it's just easier for me to kind of monitor what's going on when my layout looks the same in Chrome as it does in the PDF. So let's also look and see what is different in our Word file compared to our PDF file. I'm going to just kind of close this up. Zoom. Just change that to page width. Kind of put them side by side for a second. All right, so I can see that it says we can handle all of your lawn, yard, and landscaping needs. So that's the same. Customer satisfaction guaranteed, larger and bolder than the line above. No yard too small or large. So these 2 are H3 headlines, which is interesting because clearly this headline is smaller than this headline. So what I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to tell you to change customer satisfaction guaranteed to an H2 headline. That way you can get it to be larger than the we can handle text. And then your H1 headline is going to be no yard, too small or large. Then you are going to have 2 boxes. So lawn care services, that's the same. A paragraph, our promise to you is to give you a well-manicured lawn your neighbors will be envious of. Spend more time with your family, not maintaining your lawn. And this actually needs to be fixed because this is not grammatically correct. This is actually grammatically correct. So let's change that exclamation right here to a comma, and we'll add the exclamation point at the end. I always want to make sure that your website is grammatically correct because people notice things like that. Then we have an unordered list, which has 2 columns. So it's mowing and edging, hedge trimming, and cleaning all cuttings. Then underneath that, we have another paragraph tag, which has, we also offer additional seasonal services to keep your lawn looking its best year round. And then contact us, which appears to be a hyperlink and underlined. So what I am going to say, I'm going to make a note to myself that says link to the contact page, because that makes the most sense to bring them to the contact page where they can fill out a form. So I'm going to tell you to do that. And for the next box we have, let me close that up a little bit so we can see them side by side. Landscaping services. Our professional landscape architects will design you your dream outdoor living area. So that looks the same. We will work within your budget to get the most bang for your buck. No job is too large, and that 2 should be too TOO or too small. From a simple patio with, I think that's supposed to say pagoda, but pergola, we'll leave it, to an outdoor living space that has waterfalls and a fire pit, we can meet your needs, and then contact us. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to link that contact us to the contact page. And the copy, it is pretty much the same when you look at that, because we've actually fixed this copy to match this because this was grammatically correct and the doc file was not. So you can save the file, so your doc file, after you make those changes. So that way, if you have to close it out halfway through, you'll remember that you've already made those changes. And now we can get back into Dreamweaver. Let's do the easy things first. Let's swap out the images at the bottom. That just kind of makes the most sense to me. And again, if you have not at this point moved those extra images into your image folder, you need to do that now. You can't select images from this lawn care site images, which is outside the image root folder in your site. All of your images should be loaded in your site or they will be missing because they will be outside of that root folder. So if you have not done that at this point, make sure that you grab those images and you put them in the images folder of your site. You want to make sure you're working out of that. All right, so I'm going to select the first image, and down in the properties panel, I'm just going to, where it says source images, it says homepage image 1. I'm going to click on the little folder to browse for a file. And I need to find that lawncare1.jpg. Let me see where that is. All right, it's actually under services, lawncare1.jpg. I'm going to click open, and I'll swap that out. Then for this one, I need to change it to the services, lawn care 2. Make sure you're doing the lawn care, not the landscape. Click open. Then for these ones are going to be the landscape. So I'm going to click on this image, again, down in the properties panel. I'm going to browse, change it to landscape 1, services-landscape 1. And I'm going to change this one to services landscape 2. All right. Now I need to go back in because I forgot to do it and add my alt tag. So I'm going to click on number 1, the first one that I changed, and under where it says alt, I'm just going to change it to, lawn care 1. Just going to change this one to lawn care 2. I'm doing it right in the alt panel. This one is going to be landscape 1. And this one will be landscape 2. So I have all of my new images in at the bottom, which was pretty much the easiest thing that I had to change on this page. Next, I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to, I think what I'll deal with is the text first before remember this image is located in my CSS, so I might as well deal with the other, the text before I do that. So let's go and look at my doc file, and I have an H3 headline that says we can handle all of your lawn, yard, and landscaping needs. So I'm not going to retype this. I'm just going to copy it right from the Word file, and that is going to go right here where it says lawn care and landscaping. So I'm going to double click until I get to that orange box. I'm just going to select all the text and hit paste. Pretty easy. Next, underneath, you'll notice that the only other headline I have is an H1 headline, which is where this is going to go. But I need to add in an H2 headline underneath my H3. So I'm going to click on my H3 headline, and I'm going to hit plus, insert after, and when it says div, I'm going to type in H2. And it says this is the content for layout H2 tag. So I can go over into my doc file and just grab Make sure you don't copy larger, bolder than the line above. Just grab customer satisfaction guaranteed and copy that. Go back into Dreamweaver, double click again until you get that orange box, select all the text. You can hit Command V, copy that in. And then next we're gonna do the H1 tag, which is, what does it say now? No yard too small or large, which is apparently the same exact copy. No yard too large. All right, so we can do that exactly how it is. And I don't think it has a button. Let's double check. It doesn't have a button, so we're gonna remove that button, which is right here, the A button under my main div.row, div column, div HP banner. This is where I've been doing everything. So I can just hit the delete key, or you can right click and hit delete, and that'll remove that button. So I've taken care of all of my new text here, taking care of my new images. I just need to deal with this image in the middle, and I need to deal with these new boxes, which is fine. So I'm gonna deal with this lighter box first. And let's see, this box is info box tan. If I can't remember what it's called, I'll click on it in the live view and it brings up the information on it, and then I can find it over in my DOM panel. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier. And I need to see, that has an H2 headline, a paragraph, and a button. But I need to see, according to my Word file, what needs to be done. And know what else you can do in your Word file is, once you've done something, select it, and you can hit like strike through and cross it out so you know it's done. Just something like, so visually you can see what you've finished in your Word file. I like to do things like that, so that way it's kind of like manually checking things off my list. Makes it a little bit easier. So I do have an H2 headline of lawn care services, so I'm gonna copy that. And where it says inspiration gallery, when I click on that, I can see it's also an H2 headline. So I'm gonna double click until I get that orange box. I'm just gonna paste in lawn care services. I don't need the button right here, this read more button, so I'm just gonna delete that and get it out of the way while I'm working. I do have a paragraph I need to copy, and you'll notice that, make sure there's a space there. There is, okay. You'll notice that included is on its own line. It's not its own paragraph, but it is its own line, so we're gonna have to add in a break in the code. So I'm gonna copy this paragraph, go over to the paragraph box that's already there, double click till I get the orange box, Command A, paste, Command V, and it's left justified. You see how it's center justified. So I'm gonna need to deal with that in my CSS. And this is where you're going to need to rename just these paragraphs with a class. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to double click next to the P, and I'm going to do period lawn. And the reason why is I already have a selector for paragraph that tells everything to be center aligned. Somewhere. It's somewhere in there. And if I tell my paragraphs to be left justified, it's going to change it not just on this page, but these selectors work throughout my entire website. So I need to be very careful and not change any of the selectors I've already created for my index page, because it will change it on my index page. And this text needs to be center aligned on my index page. It's only this text that needs to be left justified. So that's why I want to give it a class and its own name of lawn, so I can target just this paragraph and tell it to be left justified when I get into my CSS and I start doing that. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to be aware of when we start coding these new pages. All right, if you're still in live view, go into split view right now, because we have to manually add in that break. So right here, you can see it says P class is equal to lawn. Our promise to you is to give you a well-manicured lawn your neighbors will be envious of. Spend more time with your family, not your lawn. And then it says included is, and it's all in the same line. So I want to add a break in between the exclamation point for after lawn and the word in the phrase included is. So I'm going to manually put in a BR break, just like that, and that's going to bump that down to the next page. Not to the next page, down to the next line. There you go. And if you open up the div, you can see that's added that break in. But you manually need to add it into the code. All right, next what we need to do is we need to create an unordered list for these bullet points. But you will notice if we look at the way that they are set up in my mock-up, that it's 2 columns. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of magic in the CSS to get that to be a multi-column bulleted list. So when I create my unordered list in Dreamweaver, I'm going to have to give it a name. So that way it doesn't conflict with other unordered lists on my other pages. So same thing. So I'm going to select that paragraph, the lawn paragraph that I created. I'm going to say insert after, and I'm going to do an unordered list, and I want to name it hashtag multi-column. So I'm going to give it an ID of multi-column. And I named it with a lowercase m and an uppercase C. It matters. So if you name it all lowercase, when you make your selector, remember that, because it's going to have to be an all uppercase selector. So I can add in my list items manually in the live view, or I can add them in the code. It'll probably be easier for you to add them into the live view. So I'm going to go into Microsoft Word again, and I want to copy those bullet points. So just copy them, and I'm going to go over into the live view. I'm going to click, and it's going to bring up the LI for list item. I'm going to double click. I get that orange box. I'm going to hit Command V, and you'll notice it's going to copy the bullet points from Word, and it's not going to put them on a different line. So what I need to do is I need to manually get rid of that bullet point, and then I'm going to select in between mowing and edging. I'm going to hit enter and move that to the next line. Then I'm going to manually select in between edging and hedge, hit enter. That's going to put it onto the next line. And manually select between edge trimming and cleaning all cuttings, and hit enter. And I have 4 list items now. And watch, when I click over in the DOM, it's going to be 4 list items that come in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is how this should look: mowing, edging, hedge trimming, and cleaning all cuttings, each on their own line. All right, so that should be it that goes into that box, I believe. Oh no, contact us. Or am I missing a paragraph too? Oh yeah, I am missing a paragraph. I was like, wait a minute, I think that there's definitely a little bit more stuff going on. So I'm going to close up my unordered list, and I'm going to insert after, and I'm going to make a paragraph. And the same thing, I'm also going to name this paragraph lawn. Lawn. because I want it to be left justified, just like, whoops, where'd it go? After P. Ugh, come on. Sometimes mine does this, so hold on. Let me do a save all. I can already tell if it's doing weird things down here. I'm gonna have to restart, so hold on 1 second. You would think because I shut down my entire computer for a good hour and gave it a much needed rest that it would behave, but you know, Dreamweaver, it can be a little bit buggy, you know, that's why I always say save and save often. It can be a little bit buggy on you. Let's open everything up. Where am I? Here, and I can see that's added in that paragraph. Pretty sure it added it in. Oh, maybe not. All right, well, that's fine. All right, so insert after paragraph. There we go. All right. And it gives me this is the content for layout P tag. And here's one thing that you might notice as well. There's definitely some spacing in between my bullet list and that paragraph underneath it. So in the code, in between the end of my unordered list and my new paragraph, I'm going to remove that. This is the content for layout. Actually, no, I can leave that there. I'm going to hit a manual enter and put in a break, that BR code, just to give myself a little bit of spacing. See how that spaced it out a little bit better so the elements aren't right on top of each other? You know, little trick that you can use. So let's go back into Word. And so far I've taken care of all this. I'm going to strike it out so I don't lose my space. And I'm going to grab this entire piece right here, and I'll manually move that contact us to the next line. So let me copy that. Again, in the live area, I'm going to double click till I get the orange box and paste it in. And even though it looks like contact us ended up on the last line, it's really not. As soon as I make this a little bit wider, it will bump itself up onto the first row. So I'm going to have to manually go into the code down here, and in between round and contact us, I'm just going to manually add in a break and hit save. And in the live area, I'm going to click in that paragraph, and I'm going to wait until I get the orange box. Now, at this time, all I'm going to select is the words contact us, and it will pop up that option to add a hyperlink, and it's just going to add it to the words that I've selected. So let me click. I'm going to browse to the contact page and click open. There we go. All right. So that should be all of the text for my lawn care services page, I believe. And at this point, looking at this gray, I think I need to make this a tan. It's a little bit dark. So I'm going to make a mental note to fix that when I go back into the CSS to fix that info box tan and actually make it a tan color. Because, you know, looking at all this text, the dark text on the dark background, I think it's a little bit difficult to read. But we'll deal with that because we're going to deal with all the CSS at once. All right, so next we're going to deal with info box dark. So if you want, you can kind of close up the info box tan and open up info box dark. And again, I know I don't need a button. If I look at my my wireframe, so I can remove the button before I get started. I am going to have an H2 headline same exact thing. So I'm going to go over into Word. I can do that and copy and paste landscape services into the meet the crew box. So double click every time you want to add text in. Remember, you got to double click to get that orange bounding box. Paste it in. And then I have 3 paragraphs here. And you'll notice that there's pretty big spacing between these 3 paragraphs, like more than just a break of moving it to the next line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the first line, the Our Professional Landscape line, and I'm going to copy and paste it into this existing paragraph box. Then down in the DOM, I'm going to insert after another paragraph because it's going to give it more spacing, and it'll kind of start to even it out with this box here. And I'll grab the second line, the we will work with your budget. And again, copy and paste it in. Then I'm going to do the same thing in the DOM. I'm going to click on the last one again, and I'm going to insert after a paragraph. And I'll grab the third part down to contact us. I'm going to leave out that link to the contact page information that I typed in. And you can see I'm going to have to manually in the code add in that break in between needs and contact us. Move that to the next page. And then I'm going to have to do the same thing that I just did over here. I'm going to double click in my last paragraph until I get the orange box, but I want to select just contact us and hyperlink that to the contact page and hit save. All right, so double checking my code. I should have all of my HTML code in right now. I'm going to do File, Save All, and now I can just work on adding in my CSS code. So before I add in the new CSS code, I want to take care of this not tan box that's named tan box because it's really dark. So I really want to take care of that by changing the color. So let's see, let me scroll through and find info box tan. Go to background, and I can see that there's a whole bunch of 6s there, and I'm going to need to change out that color. And I do have the color that I want. Let's double click on there. And remember, it's hashtag to put in a color, an actual hex color. And I'm going to type in B9A88E and hit enter. And now it's tan. All right, that looks a lot better. Okay, so I've changed that background. So now what I can do is I can focus on the rest of the CSS for the different items that I have changed on this page. So first thing I want to do is I need to look at the banner at the top because I'm going to have to change the image in this banner. So in my main area, in my first div, it's named div HP banner for homepage, but I don't want to change my CSS of that HP banner because again, it'll end up changing the image on my homepage, and I just want to change the image on my services page. So what I need to do is I need to rename that div that has the image in it. So where this one was called .HP banner, I'm going to name the one on the services page .SE for services, I guess, banner. So I'm going to make, I'll change that right in the DOM panel. Click enter, and you'll notice that the whole thing goes away, and that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm in my styles.css right now. I'm going to navigate till I get, so scroll all the way up to the top, and then just kind of scroll down till you get to HP banner. Here it is. And you want to grab the whole line, whoops, click too hard, the whole line of code. So from the HP banner first squiggly bracket right to the last squiggly bracket. I'm going to hit Command C for copy. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit Command V, because I want everything basically to stay the same except for the name of the image. So I'm just going to change it from HP in the one that I pasted to SE. And notice how the image comes back, because it's now linking back up with my HTML and my DOM. So it's adding the image back in. But as we know, I need to replace that homepage banner image. Click off. I'm going to select images. And I need to manually change that image. Oops, clicked a little too hard. So I'm going to do that in my selector. So if I click background, and you'll notice it added my selector in, SE banner, awesome, already in there. And if I click on the little background icon where it says background image URL, I want to browse, and it's got that homepage one in right now. I want to browse and grab in my images services banner and click open. And now my new banner is in there. And I'm going to do a file, save all related files. I can double check it. Whoops. Double check it in my browser. There we go. And it's got the new image in. So I can make sure it didn't change it on my home page. Go back to my services page. Perfect. All right. So next, let's go back into my source code. There's a couple of things, other things I'm probably going to have to fix. Not in my header. Yeah, in my main. I went into my header by accident. In my main. So now that I've changed that banner or that div to SE banner, my H3, H2, and H1 tags in there have changed. So I'm going to need to make new tags, based on this S.SE banner. So in my global, the easiest way to do that would be to navigate down to my H1, H2, and H3 selectors. And I'm going to make a new selector underneath called .SE H1. And I'm going to change the font size to pixels 42. My text transform is going to be all uppercase. And my font weight is going to be 600. Next, I'm going to make a selector that is .se H2. This one is going to be font size 30 pixels. Text transform, uppercase, font weight 200. And the reason why I'm doing this and you're not seeing a big change is sometimes it will default to like random things if you've changed the name of the div, and sometimes it doesn't. So this is almost like my just in case. I'm adding in a selector kind of just in case, like, you know, sometimes it shows up fine, sometimes it doesn't show up fine. So this is almost for people who it might not be showing up fine. It changed your fonts when you rename that div. This should help you. If nothing happened, it's not going to hurt that you added in a couple of extra selectors, you know, just to make that a little bit more clear. SEH3. And this one's going to be font size 16 pixels. Uppercase, and the weight 200. All right. So I can close that up. I've taken care of that. All right. Next, I need to deal with my lawn care tan box thing that's going on. Now it's tan at least. Which one is it in? Info box tan. Which I need to rename. All right. So this was called Info Box Tan on my last page, on my home page. I need to rename this box from Info Box to Lawn Box Tan because I need to change some things going on inside of this box, and I don't want to affect the box on my homepage, which is already called Info Box. So I opened it up until I got to Info Box Tan, and I'm just going to rename it the word info from .info to .lawn. And when I do that, it's going to completely take away anything that I have done. It's going to look like this as soon as I do that. So I'm going to go over into styles.css. And what I want to do is I want to scroll down again, and I want to find that Info Box Tan because I'm gonna base my styles off of this. So I'm going to copy it, hit enter, paste it. I'm going to change the name info to lawn. There we go. I'm going to leave the black text. I'm going to leave the padding. I'm even going to leave the text align centered for right now. And there it is, right there in my selector, Lawn Box Tan. Then underneath that, I'm going to make a new selector. And it's going to be called period lawn. Because remember, I named those paragraphs .lawn. What I want to do is I want to change the text in there to text align left. So that takes care of that. And let me go over to my DOM panel. Because it changed one of them, but didn't change the other one. Lawn. And this one needs to be named .lawn as well. I forgot to rename it .lawn, that last paragraph right there. And there we go. Perfect. Double check it against this. There we go. And I think that that's all in. Oh, and the most important one. All right, so going and finding that lawn selector that I just created. Now I need to deal with the bulleted list, making that a multi-column. So this is going to be a lot of kind of crazy text. So I am going to type it slowly for you. And you'll have to probably take a screenshot of this and follow along. So I'm going to make a new selector, and I'm going to name it div hashtag multi-column. I'm going to hit enter. I'm in my styles.css now because I'm actually going to like manually have to enter in this weird code just because I honestly don't know where it would be located in the properties panel. So I'm going to put my cursor right after that first curly bracket. I'm going to hit enter. And I need to do a dash MOZ dash column dash count colon space 2 semicolon enter dash MOZ dash column dash gap colon space 10 pixels semicolon. Each line of text has to end with a semicolon. Enter dash WebKit dash column dash count, and again 2 semicolon dash WebKit dash column dash dash gap colon 10 pixel semicolon enter. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Column count, so I'll hit enter for column count. I'm going to put in 2 and then hit semicolon. Then column, gap. So I want to double click that one. It's going to be 10 pixels, semicolon. Text align, hit enter, left, semicolon. And I think one more, yep. Hit enter, list, style, position, so you can select the third one down and put inside and then semicolon. And that should take care of, oh, I know why. Take out the div. There we go, all right. So I had the word div and I forgot to put a space, so multi-column, there we go. All right, so take out the word div and your, so your code should look just like this. So if you want to take a screenshot or just follow it, follow that code, you might want to pause your video right now so you can type all of that in. And you'll notice as soon as you're done, it's going to be a 2-column bulleted list, just like we have in the wireframe. This is definitely the hardest of all of the code you're going to have to type in today, so don't worry. All right, so next what we need to do is in our selector, we need to find in the global info box dark, because we're going to add a selector after that. Go over into my source code. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rename this div on this page from info box dark to land box dark, and I'm going to base it off of, it's just a good idea. You know, if I need to change something on my index page, but I don't want in the long run, and I don't want to change on my services page, it's kind of good to like rename these boxes, you know, so that way if later on in life you're changing something on the services page, you don't you know, like they're like, oh, on the services page, can you make that box like green? And you're like, oh yeah, sure. And you go into info box dark and you just make it green. It's going to make it green on your index page too. So it's kind of good to get yourself into the habit on each of the pages to kind of, where you can, you know, rename some things. So I'm going to name this one .land box dark, because for landscaping. And in my styles, I'm going to find my info box dark style. I'm going to copy and paste it just like I've been doing. It's just a lot of copying and pasting today, honestly. Right? That's all we've done? All right, so I'm going to grab it from info box dark right through the last squiggly bracket. I'm going to hit copy and paste. And again, I can just rename that info to land. There we go. And I can change it. I'm going to leave that color, the color is 30 pixels, 20 pixels, 60 pixels look good. Text align center looks good. And I believe, did this have its text centered? Let's double check. No. Oops. It does not have its text centered. So go over into my source code, open this up. So this needs to be left aligned too. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it the class of land, no, of lawn, and that'll left align it. For that paragraph, dot lawn, this paragraph, and this paragraph. Perfect. And I think that there's something else. I definitely wanted to change. I'm going to make in my lawn selector, I want to deal with my underline for my link. So I need to go into list style type. I'm going to do none. And text decoration. Text decoration. I'm going to do none. And I think should have taken care of that. I'm going to make a selector dot lawn A. Need to target these links. Color, I'm going to leave text decoration none. There we go. And text transform none. I don't know why you're still showing up purple. List style type. That's not what I needed. That's for bullet points. I'm missing something. I'm losing my mind today. Text align. List style type none. Let me show that set. All right. Text decoration is none. And let me just change the color to white. It'll be fine. That'll take care of it. Get rid of that purple. I'm just going to type in white. There we go. There. That works. You can just change it to white. I forget what the what the code is to just take off the random purple that it makes it. off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. So you can just change it to white and that will be completely fine. And I'm also going to center it. Which should have sent, no, it's not going to let me probably. Because it's within that P and I'd have to put it in its own paragraph. So that's okay. Don't worry about that. You can leave it left justified for now. I think I might have gotten all of the selectors I needed for this page. This page might be done. Let's do a file, save all related files, and let's preview it. Take a look. Looking good. This was definitely the most difficult thing that we did today. Check our links. Which bring me to the contact page, which we haven't done yet, but that's fine. And let's double check. We start to close it up. Hit our first breakpoint. Looks good. This gets a little bit crazy when we hit our first breakpoint, but that's okay. And our second breakpoint. All right, awesome. So we have successfully coded our services page. So you can click, make sure you save everything, save all, and then in our next video, we will deal with the gallery page. All right, see you all in our next video.